Great, I'm ready.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bryan Shue. Welcome to Lockdown with Thought Leaders. And today I have Bill Kieffer with me, a fantastic thought leader in the veteran space and also in logistics space. I want to give Bill a chance to kind of introduce himself to you guys. And so, Bill, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good morning, Brian. It's an honor to be here with you, and I'm looking forward to some good time spent together. Yeah, I am a coach and an advisor. I primarily focus my work today on helping military veterans bridge that culture gap between their military service and the civilian commercial world. I spent the last 22 years in senior leadership positions as a human resources and talent management expert. I hate the word expert. I shouldn't have said that, but a senior leader in large global complex organizations. Prior to that, I spent 12 years active duty as an Army officer. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I look forward to sharing some thoughts and learn a little bit maybe.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Bill. And really, ladies and gentlemen, this is a chance for some of the leadership inside of our organizations to come out and say, this is what is important to me. This is some of the things that I've been dealing with personally and professionally. And this is what we can do together to kind of build that relationship and build that bridge through these difficult times, because we're all dealing with COVID-19 in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Some of us are in quarantine, some of us are in isolation, some of us even lost our jobs. So, Bill, for those that have lost their jobs, and I know this is a hot topic for a lot of people, what would you say to those people that are like, I need to find a job, I need to do something, I need to make money, I got to pay my bills.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And these are really tough times, and they're kind of unprecedented times. I've been on this earth more than a couple of decades, and I've never experienced a time when people have been asked so broadly to stay at home and engage in such a concerted effort to fight something so big. The good news is the fight, while it's damaging, all we're being asked to do is stay at home. Now, that has some great impact and positive result for some folks. I'm getting to spend a tremendous amount of great quality time with my wife, and I love that. However, it has a negative impact on a lot of folks also. I know many folks who have their jobs have been impacted either in the near term and some in the long term. So I think the very first thing I think everybody needs to do is just take a deep breath. Yes, it's bad. Yes, it could get really bad. But the very first thing you need to do is take a breath. Take a moment to really recognize the circumstance and figure out what the likely potential could be. Now, in the case of the coronavirus here, we don't know. We don't know how broad it will truly go. We don't know how long it might last. So take a breath, take a pause, figure out your circumstance, and then start to think about how you can, one, secure yourself, and two, start to think about where you might want to go next, because you're going to have to do something. Many folks really they need to find some work quickly, um, and get your eyes and ears open to those opportunities. I heard a number of different sources out on the public media, where places are hiring, distribution centers, food, grocery stores. And you know what? It may not be the kind of work you're used to. It may not be the kind of work you prefer. It may not be something you're particularly, maybe you're overqualified. But at the end of the day, there's some simple math that has to happen. If you need X amount of money, you got to do whatever you can do to get X amount of money, legally, morally, ethically.
Of course, that's always the biggest piece. It's like you just can't, steal money from people. That's a little bit wrong. The cops may knock on your door and say, "Hey, you're doing something wrong here. You can't
Yeah.
be doing this."
Yeah.
But I think the biggest piece that we can take away from this is how are you engaging? What are you engaging in, and are you able to be found? And through LinkedIn, I found you, and that's been a great conversation piece for us. And what has been your favorite way of connecting with people besides LinkedIn, even, or what maybe LinkedIn is your favorite, or how do you stay connected with people through this time?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of really great points to make in there. LinkedIn is a fantastic resource. It's as good as you make it, and it's as useful as you make it. If you're on there, you have a decent presence, a good picture, a nice summary bit, a clear, easy to understand profile. That's one thing. That's kind of like getting your billboard up. Okay, it's an advertising piece, but that's not enough. If you really want to be engaging with people, you need to engage with people. look at their comments, like their comments, make comments, post new material. That's LinkedIn. I'm not a LinkedIn expert. I know enough to know a little, but that is one channel. It's a highly effective channel. The other bit is to get on your phone, get on your email, look in your Rolodex if you're really old and have one of those, and reach out to folks you haven't connected with for a while. So, and you want to reach out with some clarity, and you want to reach out, I'll say, with some compassion, because everybody's going through this together. So I've reached out to friends I haven't talked to in years. And the first thing is, how are you doing? This is affecting everybody. How's it going? And as the conversation goes, we reconnect, maybe share some good old stories. And then I either ask for, how, well, I'm looking for something. Okay. Can you help me? One of the things I've found, and I think it's particularly important in times of crisis like this, is to remember that people want to help, but they can't help if they don't know how to help. So you go back through your phone list and you find somebody you connected with several years ago, and you dial them up and say, "Hey there, Johnny, how are you? It's great. I hope you're doing well in the midst of this crisis." And you have a nice chat, and then all of a sudden there's that pause, and you don't know what to ask for. And so you go, "Well, Johnny, it's been great talking to you," and you shy away from it. Okay. You're not going to ask, if you don't ask the question, you're not going to get an answer. The answer may be yes or no. The answer may be yes, I can help you. The answer may be, boy, I have an opportunity that really needs you. Or the answer may be, I don't know how to help you.
And
So
and being and having that honest, open conversation with somebody can be very insightful too. And that's what you were saying is, just asking that question can open doors for you. And
oh,
that's where
sure.
we need to take a moment and say, how can I open a door maybe for myself or maybe for somebody else?
Really important point. You may be looking for something for you, and perhaps your contact doesn't have anything for you, but keep your ears open, because what they have, if they have something, might be a great fit for one of your other friends or connections. And share that information. These times are when the best and the worst come out of people. And I really, really hope that, everybody listening really keeps a focus on what's the best I can do to help. Stay positive. That's the only way you really get through this stuff.
Absolutely. Great points, though, and fantastic information. I think that can be valuable for all of us, not just those that are listening, but even for me, hearing from you and for both of us sharing with each other, that's a great mindset to have is how are we going to grow through this? How are we going to learn through this? And how are we going to come out at the end of this better? Because, right now it may seem dark and it may seem like there's no end to that tunnel, but at the end of the day, the tunnel does end. The light will start shining again. It's just a matter of, are you prepared for that light? And I hope that our listeners are taking heed to some of these great pieces of advice that we're giving out to you guys, because it is about coming out better at the end of the day. So, another question I have for you, Bill, and I think this is a great conversation piece, is what is your passion project that you'll be able to work on now since you've been at home more than your usual?
Yeah, my passion project right now that's kind of really taken my energy and I'm really focusing my time on is actually writing a book. Uh, I've been writing a book that hasn't been written, for the better part of 30 years. I got lots of notes. I got lots of bits and pieces here and there. And it's interesting because when I started writing the book, it was not about military veteran transition. I actually started it years ago. And in fact, I made it the topic of a 2017 TEDx that I did called Investing in the Middle. And it's about life and leadership and success in the middle of organizations. And, we're all kind of in the middle of something, whether it's a small organization or large. Well, as time has gone on and my real passion for work overall has shifted to where I am today, primarily helping bridge that gap between the military and the civilian work worlds, my book has shifted. So, in fact, when we're done here, I'm going to move my computer around and get back to writing again. The book is focused on military career transition from the employer side of the desk. there's a tremendous amount of great stuff out there that's focused on helping military veterans understand who they are and what they're doing. And I don't see a lot coming from the employer side of the desk. I spent the last 22 years sitting on the other side of that desk, either myself or team members, uh, looking across the table at veterans and others and saying, you bring great assets. Please don't blow this interview. We really want you on this. Oh boy, you didn't do it. Um, and it's disheartening, especially as a veteran, because I think and I know there's tremendous value add if the company can value what the veteran brings, and if the veteran values what the company does, because that bridge only has to be crossed from both sides. So that's kind of the focus of the book, and that's what's taken my time. The
That's
other thing,
awesome. That's
thank you.
awesome, though.
Yeah,
Go
thank you.
ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I said the other thing is I'm reconnecting with my family. I have kids across the states, and my wife and I are spending great time together, way more than we are usually. We both work, so we've spent Skype time, FaceTime, Messenger time with kids and grandkids, and it's been great. There's a third piece that's occupying my time. Um, I'm actually a councilman in the small town I live in. So, small town elected official, and spending time working with the other elected officials and others to help our community get through this. Now, we've got a great team of uh, village administrators and staff. They're doing a fantastic job. So, as an elected official in this small town, the bulk of the work's being done by the full-time staff, and they're doing a great job uh, for today, and I think for tomorrow. So that's
And
kind of
that's a
what's
great
keeping me.
that's great perspective right there. Being an elected official in a small town, and well, even it doesn't matter what size of town it is. Being an elected official in general is a great opportunity for you to serve, and that's kind of what brings us to this point: is what does service mean to you, especially in this time of the time we're going through right now?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And service really is an important topic for so many veterans, and really, veteran or not, so many people. Service to me means being able to bring whatever your talents and capabilities are to a circumstance to help that circumstance. We have folks that are great planners. We have folks that are great executors. We have folks that understand logistics, marketing, all kinds of different things. And the idea of service to me is to say, here's what I have to offer, and I'm offering it.
Wow, that's great, and I think a lot of people can take that away and say, "How can I now serve in my community that I'm living in?" Because again, it's not just not one person's job to take care of that community. It's a really is a group effort to do that. So, I would really encourage everybody to reach out to your communities and ask them, "How can I help? What can I do? How can I, pay that mission forward of taking care of my fellow man because it is such a trying time. And, we're going through unprecedented events for many of us. So, having that ability to give back to your community is fantastic. So I applaud you for that. I mean,
Oh, well,
wow,
thank you.
that's awesome because
Well,
many people shy away from it. And I'm like, that's an opportunity for you to have a voice and for you to tell your people like, this is my vision of my community.
no, absolutely. And, there's so many different ways to serve and share and give back. I have friends, ladies who are seamstresses. They're sewing masks, protective masks. I have other friends in manufacturing, they work the line and they've shifted their work efforts. They're doing double shifts. Some are taking in their organization, they're taking pay cuts so they don't lose their job. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to contribute to getting through this. I think people get often, and I fall victim to it too. We get caught up in the pain of these crises, and certainly have to deal with that. But if you can somehow manage the pain and get through to the potential, and kind of focus your efforts there, I believe it will actually create some momentum to help speed your way through that pain and get you to a positive end.
Now, here's a great topic that's been talked about frequently. If I was a leader and I'm struggling with adapting to this new normal, what would you tell me to help me become more effective?
Yeah, sometimes folks in positions of authority, they know what they know. They do things how they've done things. I think to adapt to a new normal, a changing circumstance, you have to let go and understand that letting go doesn't mean you're abdicating. You got to be open to new ways of doing things, to new ways of receiving information, new ideas about how to process that information, and new possibilities about what to do with that information, and then new networks of people to help get that stuff done. I often say for folks that are in career transition, if you want to go do something different, you have to learn new things and meet new people. Now, what we're talking about here today is primarily not about career transition, but it's about a change in circumstance. So I would offer the same advice. We now have to do something different. So we're going to have to learn new things, and we're going to have to maybe meet new people to go do those new things that need to be done.
And when you mentioned doing those new things, what in your perspective, what would make somebody feel more comfortable doing those new things or learning those new things?
Remember, you're not alone. You have most everybody has some collection of folks that are kind of on their team. Some folks would say, their tribe, right? So you have people around you, and everybody does, even if it's just one other person that's there with you and there to support you, there to listen to you, there to offer ideas. So remember, you're not alone. If you tend to be naturally introverted, which I am, make every effort to overcome that tendency. Say, you know what? People are out there, they're willing to help. If you happen to be averse to change, and many people are, try to do whatever you can do to get past that aversion to change, because the world is changing. So you can either resist it and make life tougher on yourself, or you can find the way forward to make that change as small and easy to adjust to, as you possibly can.
Well, great. Those are amazing points, and I agree with you. And I think that should be a topic of conversation in itself is how do you manage to change, especially in today's world? Because there's going to be some when we finally do end up coming through all of this, which at some point it will happen. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Mhm.
It's not permanent. How are we going to manage all that change that we've had to go through and all the changes we're going to have to make everything work? And with you being at home now more, and I think this is true for all of us that are now, work from home. I mean, me myself, I've been work from home now for months because that's just how my
Mhm.
organization at Full Moon works. But those that are not used to it, that's a change in itself. I mean, having to sit in front of your desk for 8 hours at home when your wife's like, "Hey, I want you to do something. Hey, can I do this?" Or, "Hey, let's do that." And you're like, I have to work. And it's
Right.
having
Right.
to have those adjustments in your personal life and in your professional life is big for a lot of people. And that's where that professional branding versus professional personal branding comes into play. And how do you now blend those two? Because again, it's not a separate. I hate now when people say now there's a work-life balance. It's now a work-life blend. And how do you get those two together in such a way that actually makes sense for you and makes sense for your family?
Well, I love that phrase you use, because work-life balance infers that they're opposites. It's an either or. I can either do more work, or I can have more time with the family or non-work time. Uh, the work-life blend recognizes that they're not opposites. They're different ingredients in the same stew. So how do we make the stew better? How do we make sure we cook the work just enough so it's done? How do we cook the family life enough so it brings that flavor and spice and brings everything together? Um, so I think embracing the and instead of it reinforcing the or is a really important, and it's hard for a lot of people to do. And it's been hard for me. We can either go left or right. Well, this isn't left or right. They're not opposites. They're parts of the whole. So I've been working from home for a while now, and I got to admit a little bit of. I live in Ohio, and we're on a lockdown unless it's food, medical, or something, essential, or, you go out and exercise or whatever, but, you need to be staying at home. Well, I don't really mind working at home. It was an adjustment from corporate America. But as soon as somebody told me I have to work at home, I was like, wait a minute, you're not going to tell me what to do. So you kind of have to get over that. It's the right thing to do. So how do I find that blend? I was up,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I was up this morning taking work calls. I was able to take a break after those calls. I had breakfast with my wife. I came up, we get ready for this. I'll get done. I'll go work out. I have another set of calls at 1 o'clock. So, life is good, but it's an and I love the phrase you use. It's not a balance, it's a blend.
Yeah, because I mean, let's be honest, organizations are going through massive changes right now. And, as a leader, we should be welcoming this change. We should be embracing this change of where people are not in the office for 8 hours a day. They're at home doing the same job with the same responsibilities, but not behind a desk in a cubicle or wherever. They're at home with their families doing the same job and being just as productive. I think that's a change our society will be making over the course of this coronavirus is seeing the possibilities of being able to be at home and still create the same amount of, you know, work or, accomplishments without the need of somebody overwatching your every move. So I think that'll be an interesting shift in paradigm for, especially if you've been used to working in an office and now shifted to working at home all the time. That
Hmm.
that will probably change a lot of your perspectives, because you're gonna have you might be on a conference call and then one of your people, all of a sudden their kids run into the picture and it's like, oh look, they have a family. They have pets. They have a life outside of this that's being impacted by this change in our environment and in our work styles. So, being accepting of that is huge and can show a lot of what, people have said to me is compassion. We're human. We have compassion. Let's utilize that a little bit more, I think would be fantastic for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree with that. And um, I was thinking about this the other day. Think about if this coronavirus would have happened before we had all this great technological connectivity. We wouldn't be having this conversation right now. LinkedIn wouldn't have existed. Think about how separated we truly would be. So I really, really value the fact that we've got all these ways to connect: Zoom, Skype, LinkedIn. Whatever, they're almost innumerable. Facebook Messenger. I mean, we can talk to people around the world in an instant. What if that wasn't the case? What if we didn't have this ability to really stay connected? So it's not about we can't connect. It's about we're connecting in a new and different way. And I think what you brought up about having compassion and understanding for folks, when you're on a call and the dog runs in or the kids want to join you on the call and, hey, what's going on there, Dad? I think everybody needs to understand that this is a new circumstance and that's not a bad thing because that's part of life. And this whole thing, work is part of life and it's an important part of life, but it's only part of life. So, how do we find that balance and then get beyond balance and get to how do we blend it together? I don't
And
know that we'll be able to change successfully overnight, but I think if we can continue to stay cool, stay focused, stay positive, we will get ever better.
And I think that also brings into a perspective of the veteran community as a whole is this is kind of what we have been used to doing. And this is kind of the life we have been living for so long in uniform. And now everybody gets to experience this. Like for us, we're like, you know what, just another day for us. We're kind of used to this. It's kind of what we've been doing.
Mhm.
Whereas our civilian counterparts they're not used to it. They haven't experienced this kind of upheaval in their lives. And so for them, this is a chance for the veteran community to step up and say, we experienced this. We've done this. We've been through it. And we've done it successfully for many years through many different times. And, it's not a concern for us, but let us show you how we can move forward. And I think that's a great would be a great conversation piece is how does the veteran community step up and say, hey, you know what? It's all right. It's all good. We got this. You know what?
Mhm.
It's not a concern. Is it concerning? Yes. But does it concern us? You know what? We're good. We can show you how to be, you know, understanding in these difficult times.
Oh, absolutely. I think it was yesterday. I shared a post that one of my connections had put up. It's a Harvard Business Review article about hiring unconventional folks to be on your team. Folks that maybe don't have exactly the background that you might have expected in a kind of a cookie cutter profile, because they bring new and different things. Now, there's a lot of argument both ways for that thing, but my thought on that is if the business leaders can open their eyes and ears to the experience, capability, and value add that veterans can bring, and if the veterans can open their eyes and ears to the requirements and norms of the employer, think about the power that that can bring. Our veterans can bring those kind of, just like you said, those experiences in difficult times, then provide that calm level of thoughtful leadership through challenging circumstances, whatever those challenges may be. And this can be effective at any kind of level. A frontline production supervisor, when all of a sudden the supplies and materials get disrupted, when we've got a production quality issue, when a machine goes down, when we got a staffing issue, the frontline leaders dealt with tougher stuff than that. If the employer is willing and able to bring someone new on, and if the veteran is able to articulate that value add, wow, we've got a recipe for success. Similarly, with different particulars at every different level of the organization. So, huge opportunity to leverage the value add from the often difficult veteran experiences.
And I think, when you were talking about your book earlier about, the view from the employer side, I think that's crucial for not just the veteran community, but the civilian community as well. Is when you're sitting across from me and I'm interviewing you, I'm really trying to tell you, like, I want you to come here. I'm probably interested in you because I asked you to come sit across from me. I'm not asking you for the sake of just because or for the sake of enjoyment of embarrassing you. I'm actually trying to get to know you and see how would you fit in my organization. Having those kind of thoughts and thought leaders coming out to the forefront saying, this is what we look for. This is what we want from the other person sitting across from the table. I think that's huge for us. And that will be a great, interesting conversation moving forward because so many people are like, oh, the HR, the hiring manager, the interviewer is just so mysterious. And it's just nobody really knows who they are and nobody knows how to get through the interview process. Well,
Mhm.
getting through the interview process can be easy. Are you preparing yourself to get through that process can be the key. And I think having, a voice like yours out there saying, this is what you can do to get through the process will be hugely beneficial to, everyone to be able to see what is it that this person is looking for? Why are
Mhm.
they asking, this particular question? Because I know everybody likes to ask, tell me about yourself. Well, what does that really say when you're asking me that question? What is that
Right,
really? What are
right.
you really trying to get out of me when you ask me that question? Because it's not because they really do. I mean, they do want to know you, but what are they really trying to hear? What are they really listening for? So
Mhm.
having that kind of perspective hugely beneficial.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. And as I get it written, I'll make sure I send you an advance copy. Okay. It may be a while, but a couple of points, and I don't want to get too far off the main purpose of our call here, but really, really quick, what employers are looking for when they have a job opening to fill is the best possible candidate that demonstrates that they can do the work that needs to be done and they're going to fit. They're going to fit with the team. That's it. Everything else is a way to get to those two key points. Everything adds up to those two things. And there's a lot of ways to get there. But the real simple way, and I'll ask, tell me about yourself. Use the employer's words. Tell me about yourself. What they're saying is, in the context of the job expectations. So if you have a job posting, a job listing, a job description, whatever that is, frame that answer using the words that they used. I could talk all day on that one too.
Oh, I'm sure. And that would be a great conversation piece too, because, especially with these times, is how am I going to talk about my value inside this organization that I may not know anything about, because I'm looking for that next career. I'm looking for that next job. And
Hmm.
right now I found a job that may not be something I've done or maybe has been, but how do I best express that? And having that understanding and that thoughtfulness can be hugely beneficial for you going forward. So, I
Huge.
mean, it really, I mean, you can really turn your trajectory of your career into a more positive path if you have that idea in you. And that comes from networking. It comes from having those informational interviews.
Yes.
Can be hugely impactful, because you're getting time with an individual that, you know, would probably never talk to you if you hadn't reached out to them. And because they respond and they answer positively, they're saying, yes, I want to give you 15 minutes of my time.
Hmm.
I want to
Hmm.
give you that information that you're possibly needing to get over that hump. and,
Yeah.
and that, because you know what, I think a lot of people now are starting to learn, like, I need to be able to give. I need to give, and I need to help people get through, because at some point I may be knocked down. And guess what? If I'm knocked down, I need some help too. So I don't want to shut doors. And shutting doors is pretty much telling people, fend for yourself.
Hmm.
But that's not what we should be doing. We're leaders. We're leaders for a reason.
Yeah. A good friend of mine, a great mentor, uses the phrase, it's good to be a go getter. It's better to be a go giver. So as you go through career transition, you got to be aggressive. You got to be agile. You got to be out there making it happen. Your transition will happen at the speed that you go. You go slow, it's going to go slow. You go fast, it's going to go faster. But you got to go with a giving kind of a spirit, a willingness to help. And the more you're willing to help, the more people are going to be willing to help you, whether it's career transition or getting through a crisis or whatever. If you're willing to give, people are also willing to give back. It's just a tremendous positive, virtuous cycle, as opposed to a vicious cycle of challenging things.
And so I love that. And because it is a cycle. And again, at some point we may be going through this again. Who
Mhm.
knows? But at the end of the day, it's how are you able to be that go giver? I love that. I had to start using that, because so many people don't understand that giving portion of your professional life. It is about giving back. It is about helping that next person up, because I've been reached. We've had conversations this weekend with 5 people that have lost their jobs.
Mhm.
That's 5 families that have been impacted. Those are 5 families that need to figure out, how do I survive until I find my next career? And
Right.
and that's sad that that's happened, but that's also, again, our new normal. So how do we give to those people that are suffering? It can be hugely telling of you as a professional. So I love that. I'm gonna have to start using it myself.
All right.
But as we start wrapping this up, how do people connect with you, Bill? And how they get in contact?
Well, no, I appreciate that. I'm all over LinkedIn. It's William E. Bill Kieffer on LinkedIn. I have a website, www.kieffer-associates.com. My email is bill at Kieffer, Kieffer -associates.com. Best ways to get a hold of me. I'm all over LinkedIn. I'm on it a lot. My website gives a description of all the work I do, but those are the best ways.
No, fantastic. And I think that would, I hope our audience reaches out to you and continues this conversation piece, because for a lot of them, it would be hugely impactful for them, and also not just the personal side or professional side, but also the businesses and the industry leaders that will probably be watching this and saying, how can I get the best out of my people? So having, a conversation with you would be hugely beneficial for them. So, I want to thank you for your time, Bill. And as we wrap this up again, what inspiring message would you give to those that are watching this?
Keep the faith. Stay positive. Yes, there's tough times, but for many of us, we've been through a lot tougher times. Stay calm, stay positive, be thoughtful, and we'll get through this.
I think that's a great way to wrap this up. And because a lot of people want to get down and out about this, but at the end of the day, you're right. Staying positive will only help you. It won't hurt you,
Right.
because so many people want to drag us into a negative space. And yes, some people are very comfortable in that. Let's think positively. Let's think how are we best going to impact those around us and in our communities in a more positive light. And I mean, let's be honest here. There's so much negativity. We can easily find it. You know what we can't find? The positive.
Right.
Let's share that positive some more. And that's kind of why we started this series, was to share that positivity and share that message of, hey, we're all in this together. We're gonna get through this. So Bill, I thank you so much for your time today. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm so thrilled by this episode. And I'm so thrilled about all this work that's going into this. And, Bill, if you're ever willing to come back, by all means, love to have you back. And,
Oh,
yeah,
I'd welcome the opportunity. Thank you for today. Thank you for all the hard work you're doing. It really is a value add to a tremendous amount of people.
for those that don't know, my name is Bryan Shue, and I'm a veteran myself. Spent over 11 years in the Army, and after I retired in 2013, I realized that I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was going, and I by chance found LinkedIn, and by chance I got connected with Full Moon. It has been a tremendous value add for me. So I'm now giving back to my community, and not just my veteran brothers and sisters, but their family members, their kids, and even those that reach out to me individually. I don't want you to suffer. And I think that's true for a lot of us professionals. If there's a way we can help, we want to help. So, and that's kind of the point of today's, in today's episode and the rest of the episodes. We're trying to get back to you guys. We want to show you that, hey, there's positive leaders out here like Bill. And man, I love what you're doing out there. And I hope you continue writing that book. And I'm excited about it. And I hope our audience gets behind it too, because I mean, that's so much knowledge that we need, especially in today's world, that will be beneficial and change some careers possibly. I mean, that's amazing. So thank you so much for your time, Bill. I look forward to speaking with you some more. I'm sure our audience will reach out to you as well. And again, look out for more of our episodes online, and we will have a fantastic Monday, a fantastic week, and you know what? A fantastic month coming up. Because you know what? Tomorrow, April 1st is right around the corner. So that just starts another chance of amazing, um, thoughtful leaders coming on board. So thank you so much, Bill. We'll chat soon, and you guys have a great day.
Thank you, Brian.
Take care.